My name is Liam Sorta. I am the CEO of Magic Voice and Voice.tv. So my background is actually in game development. So I started out creating projects at game jams and hackathons. And it was actually at a hackathon where I started getting involved with Amazon Alexa development. The whole point of this skill is to take advantage of natural language processing. So rather than having to give syntactical responses, you can say things like, how many legs does this animal have? Where does it live? What does it eat? And those are things that we try and capture within the application to make it feel more immersive.
Alexa, open Guess What?
Welcome back to Guess What? It's great to see you again. You can ask me for the rules, tell me the category you'd like to play, or ask for a list of categories.
Animals.
Great choice. My assistant Alexa will take it from here.
Okay, animals category it is. I have selected a random box for you. Ask me questions about what might be inside.
How many legs does it have?
It has 4 legs. You have 4 questions left.
What does it eat?
It likes to eat fish, meat, and drink milk. You have 3 questions left.
Where does it live?
It lives on land and it can be found around human homes and in the wild. You have 2 questions left.
Is it a cat?
Cat is correct. You have answered all the possible items in this category. Well done. Thanks for playing and come back soon.
So I think one of the reasons that I like voice so much is because of how new of an industry it is. There's so many different areas to explore. There's so many areas that we haven't even touched yet. And I think especially with things like ISP and APL, we're just going to broaden that horizon even more. So Magic Voice actually started when I was developing skills at university. And it wasn't until a few months later I got an email saying, you've earned money for your Alexa skill. And at first I thought this was spam. I was like going to the support page saying, is this real? Or is this actually happening? And yeah, it just sort of went from there. I developed more skills, eventually enough to the point where it justified creating a business for it. And now we employ 2 other developers and we're looking to develop more and higher quality skills. So we really want to push voice, especially having like an R&D background. I really want to sort of take advantage of everything that Alexa offers. So like with the skill that I showed before, it's actually using the fact that we don't have to provide a certain syntax for the user to follow. They can ask questions that they think make sense. And it means we have to make more content, but it means that they have a more immersive and interactive experience. We're looking to branch out more into the digital game space. So a good example of this is if I say, Alexa, what am I looking at? Alexa can respond with information that we provide with the game logic. And I think that's going to add a whole new world of immersion, especially to video games. And I think that's really something that's going to bring voice more to the forefront of the industry. So my advice to a new developer would be just make something. The first skill is always going to be the hardest. The second you start seeing those reviews come in, you see people using your skills, that's going to fill you with so much enthusiasm and that drive to create more and high quality skills. And now's the perfect time to get involved. It's booming. There's communities propping up everywhere. So yeah, there's no better time to get involved. I actually created a platform called Voice.tv. And this is where we aim to provide high quality training courses, but also a community around voice. So we're based over on Discord. And the whole point of this is to provide people with a kind of laid back environment where they can share, advertise, and just network with other developers. But the main thing that I look for when we're looking for new recruits for the studio is someone with a real passion for voice technology. The best developer might not give you the best skills. What we look for is someone who's interested in not just the technology, but the whole industry. As far as skills go, it's always good to have a bit of programming experience. But again, though, I would rather take someone who has a little bit of programming experience, but a big passion for the industry, than someone who's an expert programmer, but with no drive for it. If you want to create your own studio, just start creating skills. Don't worry about the quantity, just focus on the quality. The higher quality skills you have, you're going to retain more users, and they're going to keep coming back. And then you can start implementing things like in-skill purchasing, integrating APL, all these things that give more value to your users. The mistake that I make and a lot of other developers make is not reading reviews. And reviews are what's going to make your skill the best skill it can be. You always want to unlock the full potential of that skill by taking in as much feedback as you can. And the more feedback you take, the more people you're going to please, and the higher retention you're going to see from that. When we develop new skills, we think, how can we best utilize the natural language processing of Alexa? We try and think, what's the user going to ask Alexa? What do they want from the experience? We want the user to explore this skill and think of their own questions. You know, I like the idea of this family coming together and thinking of all these different questions they can ask Alexa, and at which point, you know, they discover more of the skill, and it's a more enjoyable, interactive experience. One of the beautiful things about voice, you know, there is no right way of doing things. So the more people's ideas that you get, it's more that you can work with, right? So if I have one of my engineers come to me and say, you know, I've got this great idea for an app, I'm like, okay, sure, let's explore that. And, you know, the more that you offer as an incentive to your employees, you know, the more involved they're going to get in your company and more involved in the industry. So when it comes to prototyping skills, it's important that it's intuitive, right? It needs to be fun. It needs to be something that people want to play and come back to. So we test it with people who don't use voice, people who do use voice, and then you're going to get more opinions on it. You're going to get more feedback for you to work with. And again, make your skill the best skill it can be. I think in-skill purchasing is really going to shift the mindset of a lot of skill developers. So it's going to result in higher quality content, more content for people to enjoy. And especially if people are enjoying your skill and the retention's high enough, then you should see great opportunities to grow and expand your business. It's really going to help businesses be more sustainable. You know, it's more predictable income. It's more things that they can do to start hiring, you know, more content writers, more developers. And all these things are going to help these studios expand and start creating more and high quality skills. So I'd say before you go out and start implementing ISP, look at how it can add value to your skill. You know, what type of ISP you're going to use? Is it going to be consumables? Is it going to be subscription? Every skill is going to have its own perfect fit. So if I have, you know, something where I'm going to regularly refresh the content, then maybe subscription based. If it's something like where we have categories with, you know, a wide array of content that's always going to be there, I think one of the perfect use cases for this is one-time purchases. So we can create additional expansion packs which unlock new categories for the user. If people enjoy the skill and people, you know, are regularly coming back to it, they can be like, okay, I want to buy more content for the skill. So if you have young kids, we can actually show like a little box opening up to show an animal or an object. And it's all these little things that make it feel more immersive, more interactive. And especially for younger kids, they're going to see these little animals pop out of a box. And I think that's going to be a great experience for them and memorable as well. I think I first felt success with Alexa when I started getting emails from Amazon saying, you know, you've earned money for your Alexa skill, which especially as a new developer, I think it's a really cool experience to actually see a monetary value from your work. And since then, I just sort of doubled down, started creating more skills, higher quality skills. I eventually got asked to join the Alexa Champions program, which was great. I got to meet people from Amazon, really talented developers, and even got asked to help write the AWS exam for Alexa. So one of the things that I'm really excited about as Alexa is the move to digital games. And this is where we take advantage of the fact that Alexa has that NLP, the natural language processing, that we can then implement using, you know, game software. So we can say, Alexa, what am I looking at? And use game logic to derive the response from that. And I think all these things are going to culminate in incredibly high quality games coming to all platforms. So a few things that every developer can go and do right now to their skills is a few things just to make it a little bit more high quality. That's managing state, knowing when people are coming back to your skill. So if they're coming back for the second time, say, oh, welcome back. Or if they've been there 100 times, say, wow, you really like this skill. You know, all these things that make it feel more personal to the user, even things like voice acting or sound effects or SSML, all these different things that make it feel as a more impactful experience on the user.